Лазизжон Абдалимов является нашим следующим спикером. Он является главным специалистом отдела работы с инвесторами, инфраструктурного рынка капитала и развития финансового продукта Национального агентства перспективных проектов. Спасибо.
Здравствуйте, дорогие гости. У меня презентация на английском, поэтому с вашим разрешением буду выступать на английском. Well, today the topic is Islamic securities as an investing and financing instruments, and the previous speakers also mentioned about the Islamic capital markets and the lack of legislative base on the Islamic capital markets. So I will try to express how we are doing from the regulators' perspective. In brief, I will try to tell you the principles, types, challenges, and future of Islamic securities, and then what we are doing from the regulators' perspective. First, the principles of Islamic securities. Of course, this is the riba prohibition, risk sharing, underlying asset ownership, and transparency. We know that in Islamic finance, interest-based transactions are prohibited because all transactions should be only the underlying asset ownership. For example, let's say the sukuk, which is the very similar instrument to Western bonds, and but in the bonds we get the interest from the bond, but in the Islamic securities like sukuk, we don't get the interest. We get the profit from an asset. So another main principle is risk sharing. In Islamic financing, we know both parties share the risk. For example, investor or the provider should not get only the risk. I mean, they both should take the risk, and based on the underlying assets. And of course, in Islamic contracts, the contracts should be clear beforehand, and everything should mention it in the contract. But this is sometimes can be the advantages of the Islamic contracts, because many points of the contracts cannot be changes due to the current situation. Here, briefly, I will mention the types: the sukuk, musharaka, mudaraba, and ijara. As I mentioned, the sukuk is an asset-backed security similar to bonds, and this instrument can be used both financing and investing. And the musharaka is partnership agreement for joint ventures, and in this instrument, the investors can collect their assets in order to invest, and also this instrument can be used as a financing and investing instruments. And mudaraba is an investment partnership with profit sharing. In this instrument, the mudaraba gives the assets, its capital, to some professional asset managers due to the pre-agreed contract. But if they have a profit will be shared due to their contract. But if they have a loss, here only the provider of the capital will lose its capital. And the ijara is a leasing agreement with ownership transfer options. This is a very familiar instrument to Uzbekistan, as mentioned in the previous speakers. And this instrument also can be used as both financing and investing instruments. Here I want to tell what kind of challenges now the Islamic finance has been meeting so far. Like this is the regulatory environment. Islamic securities have different rules, may have some kind of different requirements through the different jurisdictions. That's why before entering some foreign market, both the investors and some businesses have to have a careful due diligence before entering the market. And lack of standardization. The Islamic securities are, they are not fully standardized, and it's under the development across the several countries, several jurisdictions. So now we have a lack of standardization, and another one is liquidity concerns. Compared to the traditional securities, they may have some kind of problems with the secondary market. Traditional securities have a secondary market liquid instruments. They are, but with Islamic securities, this kind of problem may appear in secondary markets, and the potential for higher transactions costs compared to the traditional securities. The Islamic securities usually they cost more than the traditional ones. That's why some part of the population, the investors, may not want to use the Islamic securities. Here, the future of Islamic securities. Well, Islamic demand from the Muslim population is increasing around the world, and that's why the countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and even the UK are working on the new technological innovations and new products. For example, in Malaysia, it's very usual to find all kind of alternative of the traditional securities in Malaysia, and they are working on the new products as well, and increase that regulatory harmonization. As I said, the many countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, UK, other countries are working on development of both the products itself and technological innovations. In the future, I hope they will have the good integration with the global financial market, and the traditional one also, and the Islamic securities. Now in Uzbekistan, we have the huge number of population. Like this is now more than the 37 million people in Uzbekistan, and due to the statistics of Uzbekistan, this is more than 90% of the population are Muslims, and which is the close to 35 million people are Muslims in Uzbekistan, which means that Uzbekistan have a great market, and we can create great demand for the Islamic securities. As I know, many people in Uzbekistan, around the 15 or 20%, they don't want to use the traditional the banking and the finance system because of their religion. And if we create for them the right instruments, if we show them the alternative way to finance and to invest the assets, of course, we can attract the huge amount of money for our economy. Now we are the regulator of the capital markets in Uzbekistan, and National Agency of Perspective Projects are working on the draft capital market law. We know now in Uzbekistan the Islamic securities. In Uzbekistan we know the Islamic securities are not issued so far, because we didn't have any, and we don't have yet any regulatory basis, the legal basis. So before issuing of course, any securities, we should have the legal basis. So now the capital market regulator is working on the capital market law, and the draft is ready, and we have some timelines for submitting in June. In a few days, we are gonna submit it to the other ministries and the agencies for the consultation. And then the early July, we are planning to submit to public discussion. In public discussion, everybody can see and comment on the articles and every point of the draft. So you can give your opinions and your thoughts here. And then by end of July, we are planning to submit to Ministry of Justice, and by the end of August, we have intention to submit to Cabinet of Ministers, because we have a deadline by the end of the August. Well, in our capital market draft law, we have a chapter which is dedicated to the Islamic securities. And in this chapter, we try to cover all types of the Islamic securities, and there is special articles for each types of the securities in the draft law. And also we have the other articles for the Islamic Special Financial Company, and also the Council on Islamic Finance Principles. And we have the special points for the government Islamic securities also in the draft law. The draft law will be the framework for the legislative basis of the Islamic securities also. And then after the adoption of the capital market law, we will start developing the bylaws, which will be the detailed procedures and all regulations for the Islamic securities. So I hope the law will be adopted not this year, but the next year. And after that, we will have a legislative basis, and then the issuers will have a chance to issue their securities, Islamic securities, and also investors will have a chance to invest their money in Islamic securities. Okay, thank you.